G'day team, Matty Abel here for another week of weekly education. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I took the weekend off after a busy week. Headed up north to Port Stephens for just a 2 days of just complete relaxation off technology. Just went for hiking, no running, let the body recover. But as you can see, I am rocking a dirty mow for my Movember. First time I've ever grown a mow, which makes me look quite different. We've raised around about $55,000 so far for Movember over the last 4 weeks, which is a fantastic effort, and thank you to all those who have donated to my page. Really appreciate it. We're hoping to push on to 60 to 65,000 later into this week as some of the guys do some longer runs. But just want to firstly touch base on the weekend that just went. We had Marion up in Queensland run the Coastal High 50 kilometre, she did a fantastic race. It was good to see her get a race in for the end of the year, which has been a tough year for us all in terms of not racing or having any races. So it's exciting for me to start to see some people complete some races. This week we've got the Coastal Classic on, which is a race down here in the Royal National Park, 29 kilometres from Otford to Bundeena. I've done it a few times. It's a very challenging run for what looks quite easy along the coast. It's quite challenging with a lot of beach running, a lot of punchy cliff climbs, and which is generally incorporated with a hot day. So I think we've just got Erwin running that this week. I'll have to double check my notes, but it'll be great to see him get a race in for the end of the year after a good race earlier in the year over in New Zealand. We've also got some of the boys doing the Bondi to Manly, which is very exciting. And also a few of those boys are doing the City to Manly, which will be a marathon. So Bondi Manly is around about 82 Ks, and there's some of them doing the marathon distance. And next week we've got Joe Wood up north doing the Buckets Way Marathon, which should be a great run as well. She's excited to be doing a race, but just want to firstly quickly touch on heat. We noticed here, and especially in New South Wales, is a very hot weekend. Just be mindful of your training when you're doing training in the heat. If I've put you in for a long run, can you break that down into 2 runs, early in the morning, later at night? Just reach out to me. One of the boys had a 25 or a 30k run planned for Saturday. He reached out saying, Matty, it's going to be a hot day, what should I do? And we just backed his training off quite a little bit, balanced it out over the weekend and on Friday. So just reach out to me if you do have a long one planned. But we also need to make sure that we adjust our training accordingly as well. So what tends to happen is your heart rate is generally a little bit higher on a hotter day, generally around that 10 to 15 beats per minute. So what happens is if you're generally used to running at let's say 5 minute pace at 165 beats a minute, if we're running at that 5 minute pace on a 30 degree plus hotter day, your heart rate will be up 10 to 15 beats higher, which will probably put you under threshold. So what we need to do is just back off our pace a little bit, which I know is very hard to run slower, but on a longer run it's more sustainable if our heart rate's just keeping under our threshold. So reach out to me if you have any questions around the heat, especially around heart rate, but I'll be touching on those who are racing this week just to make sure that we have those points covered with the heat, and also just make sure that we're keeping hydrated. For me, I take an electrolyte on hotter days, whether that's Hydrolyte, Noon, or if I'm running some tailwind. But this week I just wanted to touch base on cadence. I had a question from a newer client, Susie, I believe, which she said, hey Matty, I'm a taller runner, I'm around about 6 foot. Should my cadence be the same as someone who's a lot shorter? Which prompted me to reach out to Alex from the running room. Alex, if you don't know Alex, he has a running physio shop down here in Manly with Steph. He's also got one over in Clovelly. Fantastic setup they have there with their treadmills, and I did a video with him a few weeks back. But what I said to Alex is, hey mate, with taller runners and shorter runners, the cadence the same. So generally we like to see most people that are around about that 170 steps a minute for their easy runs, and up around that 180 for, you know, tempo runs, progressive runs, intervals, and racing. And this is more so on the road. So Alex mentioned, hey Maddie, like, you're right, taller runners are going to have a slightly lower cadence, probably more around that 163, 165, and faster runners, runners are going to have, shorter people are going to have their cadence a little bit higher, maybe around that 175 to 180 for easy runs, and probably 180, 185 for shorter runners. So just be mindful of your cadence. Cadence is king when it comes to running. The longer we're spending on the ground, the more energy you're using. So if you're able to get that foot off the ground as quickly as possible, the less time you're on the ground, the less energy you're going to be using. So very key when it comes to running. I know for me, I ran Sydney half marathon maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I ran with a metronome. I used the Run Tempo app, and I did my PB half marathon for that, running with the whole way. So it does work. It's scientifically proven. So just be mindful of that, but we also want to make sure that we keep you injury free. So cadence is king. Check out your cadence. I've put cadence in as a metric that you should be able to see in Training Peaks. But if you have any questions like the heat, please reach out to me, and we can go from there. But I've done your programs now for majority of you all the way through till January. Really excited to give you guys a little bit of a break and some variety with your training. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be taking a bit of a break over the Christmas break, New Year's, but only a few days, just to recover and chill out and spend some time with family and friends. But I'm looking to take a good solid break around that March, April time. Hopefully get down for the Razorback run down in Victoria and spend some time in the Alps. But have a great week, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But I look forward to checking to see how your training's going.